I tried beating the Thorium mod, but every enemy we kill drops completely random loot, meaning that a slime can drop anything from some useless vanity to something insanely overpowered like a rainbow blasting assault rifle. Will I get dropped good enough weapons to defeat the final boss of Thorium? Well, let's find out. I started off by going to chop down trees, and upon realizing that there was a slime nearby, I killed it and I got myself a pretty drippy outfit. I continued chopping down trees in order to get myself more wood, and then I realized maybe it's just a better idea to kill slimes until we get a better axe, so we can chop down trees even faster. Upon killing more mobs, I got myself some potions and a chain knife, and then the first decent weapon I actually received was an adamantite sword upon killing an eater of souls. Very soon after, I got myself a very special weapon that is exclusive to Thorium, and it's a part of the Bard class. It was this weird trumpet thing, and using the trumpet, I killed another eater of souls and got myself a pretty decent drill. This drill was actually able to mine as fast as a pickaxe axe, but along with this, you could actually right click it and it would shoot out and explode in the direction that you were aiming. Just check this out. I killed myself with this drill countless times, might I add, but I mean, at least we had a decent pickaxe at the start of the game. I went to go dig out a elevator so we could find some life crystals and kill more mobs for better weapons. I looted a plethora of chests, got myself the summon for the Eye of Cthulhu in one of them, got myself some lead ore just in case, and while killing mobs in the granite biome, one of the mobs actually managed to drop a daybreak. I also got the Terrarium surround sound, which was the best accessory you could craft for the Bard class. I'm not too familiar with this mod, I'm pretty sure this is good, so I just equipped it and went along with it. After this, I got myself this weapon that is oddly suspicious and fires water at enemies, at least I think it's water, but upon using it, I got frustrated, didn't really know where I was going, fell into lava, and then I died. Upon coming back to spawn, I made an anvil, a furnace, and then tried to mine a tree with the impact drill. I realized that it's just easier to actually blow up the trees and we can get wood much faster that way. There was another accessory that a mob dropped that I'm pretty sure is this heart in my inventory, which essentially just shoots out projectiles as we deal damage to other mobs. I'm not really sure if that's how it works, but it was pretty good when clearing out a group of enemies. I placed down a couple of chests so I could just deposit everything from my inventory into the chests, and then I went through a couple of weapons testing out which ones were good and which ones were bad. I ended up sticking with the daybreak for now and the suspicious water weapon. I went over to the corruption, started chucking some bombs at the corruption orbs in order to summon in the Eater of Worlds, and once we summoned him in, we absolutely demolished him with the daybreak. Once again, if you guys don't remember from any previous randomizer videos, the Eater of Worlds is the most overpowered way to get loot as quick as possible. Each segment drops a piece, and upon defeating him, we had loot scattered all over the corruption. I cleared my inventory of all the non-important things and then came back to spawn. During this time, I managed to also get myself the Terrarium Enigma staff, which I'm pretty sure is the best summoner weapon in all of Thorium. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this was insanely overpowered at taking out enemies. And then upon coming back to spawn using the minecart or platform builder from the Louis AFK mod, I accidentally placed down a platform that spanned across the entire world and destroyed everything in its path. I didn't know this was gonna happen, but once again, I guess you live and you learn. Upon killing some mobs in the corruption, I got myself a hallowed megaphone, which was a Bard class weapon. I spent a load of time just testing out a bunch of like thrower weapons that I picked up off the ground, and I ended up sticking with the deity's trident, I think it's called. I got myself some better armor, and then I went over to the right ocean only to realize that Thorium actually adds an expansion to the sea, but I wasn't really ready to go there because I drowned very quickly, so I decided to go over to the left side of the world. While making my way over to the left, I was destroying all the trees that I possibly could find, and then after this, I camped by Skeletron's dungeon waiting for it to turn to nighttime. Once it turned to nighttime, I summoned him in and used the deity's tree fork to take him out, as well as the hallowed megaphone. These two weapons made it stupidly easy to take him out, and as he was spinning on me, I used the airstrike shield to protect myself from his damage. I went into the dungeon, started farming out water candles, and also killed as many mobs as I could to see what weapons I could get. I didn't really find anything interesting, so I came back to spawn and then fought the Eye of Cthulhu. Using the glacial sting, which was a bow that I managed to get, we absolutely demolished it, and then I proceeded to fix up some of my NPC houses. I went back down to the caverns in search for max HP. While in the granite biome, a granite energy storm managed to spawn in, and I took it out using the deity tree fork, but I got really close to dying as my HP was very low. While fighting this boss, it dropped me beetle wings, so we we finally obtained the ability of flight. I continued scouring through the caves, and there were actually some pretty cool things that I found, such as randomly generated new structures that the Thorium Mod adds, which was really neat to see. Right after I came back to spawn, I actually realized that I got a dormant hammer, which if we combine with the very first accessory that we spawned in with, naturally we can get the most overpowered weapon in all of Thorium. So of course I combined them. I'm not sure if this is the ultimate best weapon, but it did like 500 damage, so I mean we have something as a backup just in case the nurse decides to leave me while I'm fighting Moonlord. I spent a load of time just messing around in the caves trying to get myself more life crystals, and once it was daytime I went over to the left ocean and summoned in one of Thorium's bosses called the Queen Jellyfish. Of course we defeated it without a problem. I actually got kind of scared a couple of times because it was dealing some pretty decent damage, but yeah, we took it out, and now essentially we were ready to fight the Wall of Flesh. I went down to the underworld, didn't even build myself an arena, just chucked the guide voodoo doll into the lava, and then using this one magic weapon called the Arcane Spike, we absolutely demolished this boss. Like, this weapon was so overpowered, and I just realized how good it was right now. So after this encounter, I just proceeded to use it for the rest of the game. I also had another thing up my sleeve though, which was this one item that summoned in 5 Wall of Fleshes. So of course I summoned them all in, killed them, and then picked up all of the good loot before coming back to spawn. I also used another item which summoned in 10 Dark Mages, and then using Mjolnir, which is the hammer that I previously had crafted that was absolutely OP, I defeated all of them and then proceeded to go mining once more in order to get myself max HP. Yeah, I still had not gotten myself full HP. While in the jungle, I managed to summon in a boss called the Corpse Bloom, which managed to despawn at first, but then somehow I spawned it in again and killed it quite easily. After our jungle expedition, I came back to spawn with 400 HP, and then I went down to the underworld in order to find myself an underground hallowed biome, so we could farm out Souls of Light. Once we had enough Souls of Light, I went over to the underground corruption and farmed out Souls of Night. Once we had enough of each soul, I crafted myself all the mechanical boss summons, but before that, there was actually another boss that Thorium introduced that was before the mech bosses. I went down to the underworld and summoned this boss in. It was called Koznix the Fallen Beholder, and then using my rainbow rings and this weird musket, I dealt damage to the boss and ended up defeating it without a hassle whatsoever. As soon as I came back to the surface, we absolutely shredded through the twins. I then later went to fight the Destroyer, which was probably the biggest joke of all time. Just check out how quick this boss fight was. And then after this, we fought and killed Skeletron Prime. The jungle now grows restless. You know what else grows restless? Boio when he notices that you still have not subscribed to the YouTube channel. So press it or else. I went over to the jungle, and the first thing I did was look for Plantera's bulb. I found it incredibly quickly actually, and then I used this explosive rainbow assault rifle to absolutely shred through all of her health, only to finish her off with the Mjolnir. After this, I found myself Golem's temple and quite confidently entered it, knowing that he's probably not going to kill me. There were so many mobs spawning in for some reason, and I was so confused by this. I genuinely thought I had like the battler buffs on, but what I failed to realize is that I accidentally drank a potion that drastically increased our spawn rates, so it was kind of dumb of me to not realize what I was putting in my mouth. Anyways, we summoned in Golem and absolutely demolished him. I mean, we made such quick work of him, I kind of felt bad, but after this, I quickly rushed to go take out the lunatic cultist, and using this OP bow that I managed to get, we spammed him with that until we took out a majority of his HP, and then I finished him off with the Arcane Spike. Coincidentally, I had a summon for altered mechanical bosses, and almost as soon as I came back to spawn, it turned to nighttime, so I fought them just for fun. We defeated them extremely quickly, and then since I also had 10 summons for the Fallen Beholder, I went down to the underworld and summoned them all in. Of course, being the best Terraria player of all time, we took them all out, and upon coming back to spawn, I summoned in this one boss called the Lich, which was apparently a pumpkin. I'm not really sure what this is, but yeah, we fought that and absolutely demolished it, leaving us with the celestial pillars before we go go and fight Moonlord. I took out the Nebula pillar first, leaving us with a ton of loot on the ground that I frankly didn't even bother to take care of. I then later went to go take out the Vortex pillar, and using the Arcane Spike, which is probably my favorite weapon in all of Thorium now, we defeated it as if it was a piece of cake. Then we destroyed the Stardust pillar, and then we took on the Solar pillar last. While fighting the pillars, I also managed to get myself the Rod of Discord, so that was a pretty nice bonus. As soon as I came back to spawn, Moonlord spawned in, and I started spamming him with every weapon in my arsenal. I started by placing down a Rainbow Crystal Staff, and then using the Omnibow to take out his hands. With the Rod of Discord, I teleported over his main laser, and then started spamming him with the Arcane Spike. This is probably the most OP weapon that we had access to, and it made very quick work of the Moonlord. We took out all 3 of his eyes, and with this core remaining, I spammed it with the Arcane Spike, and we took out the Moonlord. The last boss we have to fight now is the Primordials, and I've never fought this boss before, so this was a brand new experience for me. I had one summon for the Primordials that was just dropped randomly by some random mob, so I had one shot at this, and if I didn't, I'm gonna have to do the pillar event all over again, because I didn't pick up all of the drops, which we would need to summon in the bosses. Well, I had no idea what to expect. I summoned them in, and there was 3 of them. I was not expecting this, but essentially from what I noticed, it was something along the lines of 3 various elements. There was a fire one, there was a poison one, and there was one which very much resembled the Stardust pillar. I spammed all of them with the Arcane Spike, but since I was still learning the attacks, I took loads and loads of damage. The fire one shot the solar projectiles. The Stardust one also shot a triplet of projectiles that very much resembled what the Stardust enemy shot, and then the poison one I'm pretty sure just dealt like close range damage. I'm not really sure what was going on with that one, but unfortunately I ended up taking too much damage and I died, meaning that we're gonna have to go refight all of the pillars so I can get the summon for it. So that's exactly what I did because I didn't really have a choice, and as soon as I crafted myself the summon, I spawned them in and then used the Mjolnir as well as the Arcane Spike to absolutely cheese them. During this time, I also got myself another weapon, which was the best thing I've probably seen thus far throughout this playthrough, and it was this one bow that I'm fairly certain is unobtainable before you actually beat these bosses, so I had it as a backup just in case, but you can kind of check out like how overpowered this is. I did kill one of the Primordials with this, but we defeated the Primordials and officially finished the Thorium randomizer. Be sure to check out another video like this on screen. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. This has been Boio. Peace out.